And it took a while for me to, when I did the Hitcher, that was really, the Hitcher came after I did Red Dawn, and I did a couple of ensembles that were cool. But I was playing a kid, I was playing myself, and I wasn't challenged. Right? But the Hitcher was the first time I worked with people that were award-winning artists. Jeff and Jason Lee, Jeffrey DeMunn, Rutger Howell, all brilliant, fine actors. And that experience was the defining moment for me when I decided, well, I'm going to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. Get some skills and some real tools in the bag and start studying the craft. And decided to become a lifer after that. Had a great relationship with Rutger Hauer, who was incredibly intimidating. One time I had a lunch with him and nobody was allowed to go on his bus, and one time he invited me to his bus for lunch. I was like, Jesus. I told half the crew, listen, if I don't come out, you come here. And I went in and we had a silent lunch for 20 minutes as he smoked filterless camera.
Silent lunch, no talking.
Nothing said. And finally I don't know if it was boredom or fear, I mustered up enough courage to say, Rutger, everybody says you're an amazing bad guy. What's your secret to playing bad guys? He sort of looked at me and picked tobacco out of his teeth and hissed in that Dutch accent, I don't play bad guys. And I was like, okay. And I eased on out of the bus, gently shut the door, and that rattled around my head for about, 25 years before I booked a role on Criminal Minds called Reaper.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting moment for me in my life. This is probably 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But I hadn't had a lot of support from Hollywood as far as playing heavies. And this was my opportunity to try it and present myself in a different light. And that's when that lunch with Rutger really kicked in. And I really understood from that standpoint that the best villains are relatable. And a lot of times when, I've had people come up to me and say, God, I watch Criminal Minds and you're so psycho, you're so crazy. And I think that's an interesting take, because if you really watch it, I'm not playing a psycho crazy person. I'm playing a very stable person doing psycho crazy things, which makes it even fucking worse, and that was really effective, and I learned a lot from that. And that sort of was a springboard into a world of television that I've really been enjoying for about the past 10 years. I did 5 years on a show called Southland, which was a great role, probably my favorite role ever. I learned a ton of things. There was a time when TV was really taboo and everybody was doing feature films and you didn't do both. Or you were doing TV, you couldn't get into feature films, but you wanted to. Today, the crossover is just so clear. We got Meryl Streep on the small TV, she's winning the Oscars, and then they go and they do, an arc on, some TV show. Which is great, because the stigma of whether you're a TV actor or a film actor has been, basically erased, and now we're, the field is opened to really just finding things that you can connect with, and I love to play the bad guy, but more importantly, I like to play flawed, broken characters that have an opportunity to redeem themselves, and there's something really gratifying about that, and because that's such a major part of our lives. We're all, I think, in various degrees, struggling on this spinning rock, and I really enjoy the humanity and the trying to remain grounded in roles that don't really offer that to you. And a lot of villains, aren't easy to play because they are generally a little bit written over the top, and you know, I mean, it's like there's nothing like running through a hailstorm of bullets and nobody gets hurt, nobody gets shot, and all that shit that goes on with it, which is just really difficult to maintain a certain sense of reality in that. So I try to, you know, look for that in a project for myself. Now, there's a difference between trying to carve out a career and, you know, just make a living. And I've been fortunate enough to, in my life, there was a time when my career was kind of flailing, and I worked, but I was running from aliens and, you know, stabbing giant snakes or whatever the hell you do for $1. And it's funny because those are the pictures that I like the most from. You know, whether it was working for the asylum, and you know, running from an alien. There were times when people say, well, why did you do that? Why would you choose that? I said, well, a couple things. I put my kid through school, but also, it's the only thing I've ever done my whole life. And I've been doing it since I was 6 years old. I'm 52 years old. So 50 years of acting only. I've never waited tables, I've never done anything else. So those lean years for me, those moments where I did some of the movies that were the most challenging, during the time it was very tough. Because I thought I was basically being exiled out of the business, and I was, you know, scratching and clawing to find myself again. So those people that gave me those opportunities to do that and maintain, you know, a foothold in the business instead of, I have so many friends that became realtors and whatnot because they just ended up getting pushed out. It's a tough road.
Yeah.
But I've been blessed to have a couple of decent, like I said, the Reaper 10 years ago sort of opened up a new door for me.
Was there any roles that, you know, when that got away? Something like, man, I regret that I turned that one
Well,
down.
I mean, you know, I was Marty McFly for 2 weeks, but it wasn't like I turned it down. A movie called Mask came out for Universal, and Universal was doing Back to the Future. They put me in the role as Marty. I was working with Crispin and Leah, and Mask came out with Eric Stoltz and Cher and opened to big numbers, and some genius of the, you know, one of the suits at Universal said, well, let's put Eric in and get rid of Tommy. So I got the phone called The Hook, and they shot with Eric Stoltz for 6 weeks. And that went, you know, how that went. And they gave Eric the hook, and they brought in Michael J. Fox, and it became what it became. So that was, you know, I was young, and that was a tough pill to swallow because I had to look at Michael J. Fox's face on every Taco Bell cup across the country for 3 years. But again, those are the moments that make you. It's like if it doesn't kill you, it makes you tougher. You know, and I was my father raised me. I was raised by a bull riding stuntman, so there was no whining allowed. You know, there's still no whining allowed. But one of the mistakes I made. I went and met John Allison to play a part that Ralph Macchio ended up playing in The Karate Kid. And I read the script, and I was like, the script was very pedestrian. To be honest, it wasn't great. And I was offered a role in another film called Secret Admirer with Kelly Preston and Roy Lockman, and it just was more interesting to me. So I took that gig, which was probably not the biggest, the wisest decision. But it just happened, and at the time it was great because, you know, it was a leg up for Ralph, and he was able to do what he did. And I suppose, you know, in hindsight, people would call that a mistake, but that was just, you know, part of my journey
Cool.
to get me to where I'm at.
So you mentioned
But I'll tell you one thing, it's very difficult to go from child actor to, you know, most child actors.
they stay child actors.
Well, or they
do other stuff.
In rehab or whatever. You know, I'm not saying that's bad. Rehab's awesome. I'm just saying it's very hard on you're given a lot at a young age, you're making a lot of money, you have a lot of attention, and then that starts to fade, and you're trying to find yourself in the real world, which is really difficult to do. But I've been blessed, and for some reason, I never got jaded. I've worked with a lot of actors who aren't happy with their station in the business, and they aren't super happy to be around on the sets that you're working on with them, and you sort of wonder why they're still doing it. But I feel really blessed because, first of all, I don't take a gig. I don't care if it's the worst movie in the world or the greatest movie in the world. If I take it, I give you my all. I don't take something and then give you a half-assed performance because I don't think your project ranks. I mean, why the hell would I take that? So I don't even understand the mentality behind that approach. Some actors will sort of float it in or, kind of ease through a performance. But for me, if I'm going to take the gig, then I'm going to give you 100%. And I learn from that, and others learn from that. And it's, for me, it's inspiring to work with actors who are super prepared and on time and ready to smash the day. A lot of actors show up unprepared and a little bit feeling like, we're all a nuisance for you to be here. And that's just a terrible environment to work in, and it doesn't produce good work. So.
Yeah, you've benefited from having to work in a lot of ensemble casts, some very iconic ones. Who did you learn the most from? Which other actor do you think, besides Rutger Hauer?